was a bad dream. A nightmare from which I know there's no awakening. I don't know how much longer I can take the spectacle. Has the whole world gone mad?
Now, I must emphasize that we've been unable to develop a cure to combat this disorder, and that we can offer only the following preventative measures.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Welcome to Boogeyman Radio. My name is Charles, and my co-host... Wait a second. Where's Dave? Nah, I'm just kidding. So Dave actually had to get some work done today. In fact, he had some really bad tooth pain. So it is just me for this evening. So I hope you all don't mind. But I do want to say something. It is 2024, and I do not understand how people can eat pizza and ranch together. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Okay, random side note, whatever, fight me, don't care. But so to start this off, I do want to say that we had a little bit of trolls in our last video. Well, last video after the fact. But I guess before then, Dave is moderating the chat. He can't talk. He had teeth pulled, so it's just how it goes. And Jerry, appreciate you having here. But yeah, so on the last video, we had a few trolls, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. They would just basically say, "Oh, show sucks. It takes 20 minutes to get to what you're actually talking about." You know what's great about this show? Once it's done and it's not live anymore, you can just skip forward, go past. If you don't want to hear SBS, or there's a plethora of other shows you can talk about, or you could listen to, and find. So in the beginning of the show, where we say, "Hey, how was your week?" We like to, see how each other are doing. Let our fans know, our friends know how we're doing this past week, how things are going. But yes, Dave brings up a very good point. People who never watched a podcast before. You know how many tangents Joe Rogan goes on without talking about the subject? Or, just in general, like other people. And you know how long his shows are? 2 to 3 hours, depending on the guest, of course. And they go off on tangents all the time. They BS. But it's only a problem when other people do it? When they're not huge podcasts? Interesting. When Dave and I started this podcast, we mainly did it for ourselves. We're still doing it for ourselves, really. We love the friends that we've been able to accumulate because of this podcast and our investigating and stuff. And we both realize that we banter so well with each other. So part of our I wouldn't say messing around, but part of our whole spiel, we just like to talk. We like to just see how each other are doing. And if you don't like that, there's different shows you can watch. But I hope everybody had a great week. It's Thanksgiving week, so, man, you better take, I don't know what heartburn medicine you need to take to get ready for Thursday, but exactly, you all are family here. Exactly. That's how it goes. And see, thanks, Jerry. We really appreciate that a lot. I definitely appreciate that. Sorry, I'm just trying to adjust my headset here. It's like how you can kind of hear yourself, and it's kind of weird because I'm not hearing it. Also, I do apologize if you guys hear something running in the background. It's just my heater. My house is cold because it's below 30 degrees tonight. Anyways, so this week, because my week, it was fine. It was good. Work was easy. Nothing crazy happened. Pretty much stayed home during the weekend. Chiefs won. I don't know how, but I decided not to watch the game because I didn't want to have a heart attack because I knew the Panthers were going to put up a fight because we aren't doing that great right now, Chiefs-wise. We're still winning. Don't get me wrong. But, yeah, I couldn't watch it. I was rather do other things. But I was about to ask, how was your week? Nice. Yes. No, it was great. Had a great time playing some games with my nephew and this Fortnite or whatever. We hadn't talked in a while, so we went ahead and did that. It was great. It was a lot of fun. And other than that, just getting ready for this week. It's Thanksgiving. My folks are down in Texas, so I'll be spending it with my sister and her in-laws and probably my brother. It'll be a good week. I'm looking forward to it. Short work week too. Only got 2 more days. Heck yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's go. But I hope you're all ready for a fun evening. I will say, before we really get into the whole Skinwalker thing, there is a ton of different audio, if you will, and video of possible Skinwalkers, right? Of the whole "help me" or screams and stuff. I couldn't just show it to you guys. I just can't. With the chances of, I just don't want to not ruin, just waste time necessarily. But we'll get into the whole what they talk, like what they sound like, what they say, all that kind of jazz, and the whole myth and stuff. Now, sometime I do want to talk about oh gosh, I just happened to forget it, of course. We were talking about it last week. Wendigos. I do want to talk about Wendigos. They're another mythological creature of another native tribe. I know I just said another twice, but I'm blanking on that native tribe at the moment. But yeah, Skinwalkers I feel like are more well known. AI is going to ruin paranormal. It really is, exactly. And it's not even like, most of those videos aren't even AI. It's just random things yelling or a deer walking in the background. Oh my god, it's a Skinwalker. Ah! No, it's just a deer in the background. Just stop. But I will say I've seen some crazy AI videos that you just like something would like morph and just change all of a sudden. It's just like my brain can't somewhat comprehend it. So it's tough. It is so tough. But yeah, I couldn't see myself really bringing on pictures and videos of stuff because it all looked like a bunch of phooey to me personally. Hey, what's up, Kelly? Glad to have you here. Kelly, if you missed it, Dave is in the chat. He's not on the show tonight. He's had tooth problems. I'm surprised he's not passed out, honestly, with the medication, but that's okay. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. We're all fine here. And for those that don't know, this is the first time that I've done the show by myself. Kind of by myself. Dave's still here, but kind of by myself. But I guess let's get into this legend, huh? Like, I guess, I killed 14 minutes? You still had to skip forward. Fooled you. Gotcha. You thought I was going to go straight into the drugs are bad. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Cassie, happy to have you here as well. Yeah, he's definitely lurking, Kelly. He's I was trying to think of something clever to say with lurking, but he's just there. He's just there. But let's get into this. So I've got a few websites here of who we're going to pull from. The first one is going to be legendsofamerica.com, the Navajo Skinwalkers. So in the Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possesses, or disguise themselves as animals. So just as a quick, obviously, if you've done any cryptid or paranormal, not research, but just if you've been in this for a while, people usually know what a skinwalker is. And you don't even have to really be in the paranormal field to know what a skinwalker is. I mean, there was a guy I used to work with. He was a chef, and I would just casually, the first time that I talked to him about it, I just happened to name, because we were talking about paranormal stuff. I just happened to drop the skinwalker name. He's like, "Oh God, don't say it." I'm like, "What? What do you mean, skinwalker?" He's like, "No, dude, seriously, don't say it. I believe in that." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Oh, 100%. I feel like if you say it, they're going to start coming." I'm like, is it like Beetlejuice? You say it 3 times and magically they'll appear. If that's the case, there'd be skinwalkers all over the freaking place. But it caught me by surprise how defensive or quick they call a Jewish skin. Oh gosh. Dave's got a joke. You know what they call a Jewish skinwalker? A foreskinwalker. Oh God, what? God, that's horrible. You're not even like here, and I'm still shaking my head. It's just how it goes. My kids freak out. Where'd you go, Cassie? My kids freak out when I say it too. I don't understand. What's the whole like? If something were to actually happen, it would be out in the woods, not at my home, not randomly here. But yeah, I don't understand the whole like is I because I'm pretty sure in some cultures when you say like Diablo or devil, they think that something's gonna happen too or whatever. But I don't know. I personally just don't understand the whole scaredy catness, but whatever. Anyways, back to this article. The witch is called I'm gonna try this Ye Naldushi. I hope I said that right. By the Navajo, which translates to "with it he goes on all fours." It is just one of several types of Navajo witches and is considered the most volatile and dangerous. For the Navajo people, witchcraft is just another part of their spirituality and one of the ways of their lives, so it's a normal thing for them. As such, witchcraft has long been part of their culture, history, and traditions. Witches exist alongside humans and are not supernaturals, much like we think of them today. In today's world, they're called pagans, but whatever. The Navajo believe that there are places where the powers of both good and evil are present, and those powers can be harnessed for either. Medicine men utilize these powers to heal and aid members of their communities. At the same time, those who practice Navajo witchcraft seek to direct the spiritual forces to cause harm or misfortune to others. I'm tongue-tied there for a second. So basically like a good magic and a black magic or bad magic or whatever you want to say is what that would be like for normal people outside of witchcraft culture and stuff like that in the Native American lore. Just checking up on my chats here, make sure. Yeah, it's the same thing with Bloody Mary as well, Kelly. I just saw your chat. It's going to be hard going back and forth, but it's fine. It's fine. So get back to see. I've just lost. This type of Navajo witchcraft is known as the witchery way, which is the bad stuff, which uses human corpses in various ways, such as tools from the bones and concoctions that are used to curse, harm, or kill intended victims. That's messed up. The witchery way, huh? That's interesting. That's interesting to me. The knowledge of these powers is passed down from the elders through the generations. The Navajo are part of a larger culture area that also includes the Pueblo people, Apache, Hopi, and Ute, and other groups that also have their own versions of the Skinwalker. Each includes a malevolent witch capable of transforming itself into an animal. Among these tribes, several stories and descriptions have been told throughout the years about the Skinwalkers. Sometimes these witches evolved from living as respected healers or spiritual guides who later chose to use their powers for evil. Though they can be either male or female, they are more often male. They walk freely among the tribes during the day and secretly transform under the cover of night. Ooh, creepy. All right, just checking up on the chat, make sure I'm not... Oh, my goodness. I just saw the chat. Is it going to be a t-shirt now? Is that... Just have Cassie's name 3 times and bam, she appears. That'd be fantastic. I hate missing out on the chat. I just... It's so much fun. Not really. Anyways... So to become a skinwalker, he or she must be initiated by a secret society that requires the evilest of deeds. The killing of a family member, most often a sibling. After completing this task, the individual acquires supernatural powers, which give them the ability to shapeshift into animals. They are often seen as coyotes, wolves, foxes, cougars, dogs, and bears, but they can take the shape of any animal. They then wear the skins of the animals they transform into, hence the name Skinwalker. Sometimes they also wore animal skulls or antlers atop their heads, which reminds me of the Wendigo, kind of. Which, I mean, it's not really its head itself is like a skull of some sort. They chose what they choose what animal they want to turn into, depending on the abilities needed for a particular task, such as speed, strength, endurance, stealth, claws, teeth, etc. They may transform again if trying to escape from pursuers, which I could get that. Because of this, the Navajo consider it taboo for its members to wear the pelt of any predator animal. However, sheepskin, leather, and buckskin are acceptable, which is very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Okay. Exactly. Yes. So much fun. So much fun. Let's get back to it. The Skinwalker can also take possessions of bodies of human victims if a person locks eyes with them. Well, I'm screwed. After taking control, that witch can make its victims do and say things they wouldn't otherwise. Possession. It's a demon. And this is where the soundbite comes in. Oh, who could it possibly be? Is it Satan? That one. That's, yeah. That soundbite. Dave would roll it if he knew what I was talking about. If we even have it ready, I don't know. Yeah. It's so weird. It's ghostly. Who did that? Wasn't me. Once they were shapeshifted, others could tell they were not real animals because of their eyes. They were very different from the normal animal. So basically, if you look at it, it looks like human eyes, or let's say it's a fox, but it looks like a fish eye or a cat eye. I don't know, whatever. Then that'd be interesting. I don't know if I don't think I've ever heard any stories of skinwalkers turning into fish or aquatic creatures. Is there? I wonder if there is any aquatic creatures though, any lore or mythology where there's like a skinwalker of the sea. That'd be interesting, right? I've never heard of such a thing, but I bet it exists somewhere, like I bet there's a story about it somewhere. So instead, their eyes are very human, and when lights shine on them, they turn bright red. Alternatively, their eyes look more like animals when they are in human form. So when they're in animal form, they look like human eyes, but when they're in human form, they look like animal eyes. Got it. The evil society of witches gathers in dark caves or secluded places for several purposes. You know what? Actually, real quick, before I get off reading into that, there was something I wanted to bring to light here. When it was talking about you have to, so to become a skinwalker, he or she must be initiated by a secret society that requires the evilest of deeds. One could say the same thing for, I mean, it depends on how conspiracy theory we want to get here, but I'm just saying secret societies are a thing. And the more and more we dig into it, it really feels like secret societies are what really control what happens in the world. Hollywood being vampires and entertainment industry being vampires, consuming each other's blood. Anyways, this isn't a conspiracy show. But I just wanted to make that point. It just kind of stood out to me. That's what I first thought of when I heard that. It just makes sense to me, like chickens of the sea make me a sandwich. Exactly. That Skinwalker of the Sea, like chicken of the sea. What is that from? That's from a show or a movie. Something about chicken of the sea. I know I've heard that from somewhere, and I can't think of where. Cassie, you struck a thought. The light bulb turned on, but I can't get it all the way on. Anyways, so they would basically meet in these caves to initiate new members, plot their activities, harm people from a distance with black magic, and perform dark ritual rites, dark ceremonial rites, whatever. These ceremonies are similar to other tribal affairs, including dancing, feasts, rituals, sand painting. I should have said face painting. That'd be funnier. But that's okay. But were corrupted with dark incantations. So basically chanting while doing all of this kind of stuff. The evildoers are also said to engage in necrophilia. With female corpses. Female corpses. That's not a she-man, it's a he-male. God. I've lost it. Cut me off, guys. Drink every time Chuck says something that can't be taken dirty. Exactly. Absolutely. I think I found my new saying, he-male. Oh, gosh. They would engage in necrophilia with female corpses and commit cannibalism. I'm not going to say that word. And grave robberies. During these gatherings, the skinwalkers shapeshift into their animal forms and go about naked, wearing only beaded jewelry and ceremonial paint. The leader of the skinwalkers is usually an old man who is very powerful and long-lived skinwalker. Of course, the old perverted man is the leader of the cult. It's always an old man. I don't understand. Skinwalkers also have other powers, including reading others' minds, controlling their thoughts and behavior, causing disease and illness, destroying property, and even death. That's interesting. Those who have talked about their encounters with these evil beings describe several ways to know if a skinwalker is near. They make sounds around homes, such as knocking on windows, banging on walls, scraping noises on the roof. On some occasions, they have been spied on peering through the windows. More often, they appear in front of vehicles in hopes of causing serious accidents. And I've seen some pretty, what I would consider creepy video of someone has their porch light off and they're recording their porch, the curtains open or whatever. And somebody would play a sound or something that would attract a skinwalker. They would play a sound and it would attract them to there, and then all of a sudden, turn the porch light on, boom, there's somebody standing there that's hooded. Yes, whatever, take it as it is. But let me, he, she, they, them. Oh gosh, we'll be trashed in no times. Sorry. You're welcome. I just can't help it. Yeah, so just really creepy, weird stuff that they do. But some of that stuff also reminds me of, ghosts. They bang on walls, knock on windows, making scraping noises on the roof, maybe sometimes ceilings. Who knows? And they appear on the roads, whatever. Just saying. It is said, in addition to being able to shapeshift, the skinwalker can also control the creatures of the night, such as wolves and owls, and make them do their bidding. Some can call upon the spirits of the dead and reanimate their corpses to attack their enemies. Because of this, the Indians rarely ventured out alone, which makes sense. Buddy system. It's effective. I mean, even paranormal investigating, you probably should go with someone, just in case you come across a skinwalker at a haunted location. You never know. Connor, I'm just kidding. You can do what you want, but it's all you. What happened to the other guy? Oh man, AJ, he's got some teeth pulled. He's in the chat right now, though. If you, you're on Facebook. Dave's on YouTube, so you probably can't see it or chat. But yeah, he's around. He just had some dentist work. He had to get his teeth, some teeth pulled. It were causing some serious pain today. So he's around though. Hating commercials. Guess I'm not seeing that. Be sure to thumbs up. Oh yeah, Dave said, be sure to thumbs up the video. Boost the algorithms, please and thank you. A like would be much appreciated. Even if you hate us, don't care. All right, let's get back to where I was at. Its supernatural powers are uncanny, as they are said to run fast. Well, let's restart that. As they are said to run faster than a car and have the ability to jump high cliffs. They are extremely fast, agile, impossible to catch, and leave tracks larger than animals. When seen, they have been described as not quite human and not fully animal. Yeah, I'd say that's not quite human and not fully animal. That's weird. They're usually naked, but some have seen the creature wearing tattered shirts or jeans. Much like a werewolf. Think about it. Where'd that lore come from? The Skinwalker kills out of greed, anger, envy, spite, or revenge. It also robs graves for personal wealth and collects much needed ingredients for black magic use. These witches live on the unexpired lives of their victims. They must continually kill or perish themselves. Skinwalkers and other witches have been long blamed for unexpected struggles and tragedies, including sickness, drought, poor crops, and sudden death. You know what people would call that back in the day? The gods. The gods were mean to us. Let's sacrifice somebody. Let's rip out their heart and appease the gods. I don't know. Whatever the ritual rites of the days were back then. The Skinwalkers are mad at us. Let's do this to hopefully make them feel better. Whatever. Which, maybe that was a thing they did. Maybe, I wonder if there were cases of tribes like leaving like peace offerings, such as animals or people or gold or ingredients to appease the hunger or demands of the Skinwalker. Even smaller or individual problems such as a windstorm during dances, alienation of affection by mates, the death of livestock, and reversal of fortune were often believed to be witches' work. It's cursed. Essentially, that's what they're getting at. They're cursed. Right? It is a good question. Thanks. Where was London? Yeah, I love that. That's a good movie and great song. Love both of them. All right. Sorry, just doing a lot of talking. This was most apparent with the Navajo witch purge of 1878. I'm sorry. What? There was a Navajo witch purge? I don't remember talking about this at all the last time we talked about Skinwalkers, and I'm sorry if that was really loud on the mic. That's just kind of exciting to talk about because I didn't know that was a thing. So let's dive in, shall we? I'll have to save that for another, maybe go deeper in depth as far as research. But so, initially it evolved from a cultural response to so many people moving across and onto the lands. After a series of wars with the U.S. Army, the Navajo were expelled from their lands and forced to march to Bosque Redondo in New Mexico. Bosque, I don't know. And is what is known as the Long Walk of the Navajo in 1864. So that happened in 1864, but the purge was in 1878. Okay, I'll have to remember that one. Put that one in the vaults. There, the people suffered from bad water, failed crops, illness, and death, reducing their numbers dramatically after 4 years. The government finally admitted they had made a mistake, and the Navajo were allowed to return to their homeland in the Four Corners area. I mean, that's good. I'm glad that they finally learned their mistake. But I wouldn't say that was because of the Skinwalker, unless they were like, oh, these white men are Skinwalkers. I don't know, whatever. I doubt it, but during these years, many of the tribe's members were said to have turned to shape-shifting to escape the terrible conditions. Yeah, I could see why they would. I'm going to go live off in the woods with the shapeshifter, In the meantime, the rest of the tribe was convinced that their gods had deserted them. That's why I thought about it earlier. Makes sense. So they would basically see them as a higher being, God, whatever you want to call it. Nailed it. Got to change my gauze. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's what I said, Cassie. Navajo witch purge. Crazy. We'll research the purge after the show. I'm actually getting into it right now. There's a little bit coming up. Once the people had returned to their homeland, their conditions improved, but the dreaded Skinwalkers, whom they blamed for their years on the bleak reservation, were still among them. Accusations of witchcraft and hunting of the Skinwalkers began when someone found a collection of witch artifacts wrapped in a copy of the Treaty of 1868. The tribal members unleashed the deadly consequences. So the tribal members just went after. It wasn't even the white man. It was the I was expecting it was white men, us, killing a bunch of Native Americans, just being like, "Oh, you're a witch. You're a Skinwalker." But no, it was the actual tribes doing it. That's wild. Okay, so The treaty. Okay. Okay. The Navajo witch purge occurred in 1876, which we know, in which 40 suspected Navajo witches were killed to restore harmony and balance to the tribe. I wonder how they found out they were witches, much like the Americanized way or the English way, where it's like, oh my God, they healed my remedy without certain medicine. They're a witch. Or I saw her hugging a tree. She's a witch. It's just stupid crap. Today, most of the tales of sightings of these witches do not include death or injury, but are more trickster-like. So it could be something else entirely. You never know. Numerous people have told stories of swift or maybe the skinwalkers just did the whole around and find out. And they really found out. It really found out with the whole purge. I'm just saying. Maybe they were like, yeah, let's not kill people and give them misfortunes. Let's hide. Which, I mean, I can understand why. Numerous people have told stories of swift animals running alongside their vehicles, matching their speed. After a short period, however, they would run off into the wilderness. Along the way, these animals sometimes turn into a man who sometimes bangs on the hood. Weird. Another story tells of a man making repairs of an old ranch home when he heard loud laughter coming from the nearby sheep pens. Thinking he was alone, he went to investigate and found all the sheep but one huddled into the corner of the pen. However, a lone ram separated from the group and standing upright and laughing in a very human manner. After the man locks eyes with the ram, he sees that his eyes are not that of an animal, but very much like a human's. The animal then casually walks away on all four legs. I would have killed it. I'm not going to lie. I would have been terrified. But if I was a farmer and I had like a gun or an axe or a machete, I would have killed it. Nah, I ain't taking the chances. Especially if my sheep end up like dead the next day or something. That's so weird. Some say they even see them running through the night, sometimes turning into a fiery ball. That's different. Leaving the streaks of colors behind them. Others have seen angry-looking humanoid figures looking down on them from the cliffs and mountains and mesas. Ooh, sorry, guys. My brain's not getting enough air. Or it's my lungs. One of the two. I don't know why you yawn and talk at the same time. In the 1980s, one of the most notable events occurred when a family was driving through the Navajo reservation. Something jumped from the ditch as they slowed to make a sharp curve. It was described as black, hairy, and wearing a shirt and pants. It's a line from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Oh, no, black and heavy. That's what it was. And wearing a shirt and pants. A few days after this event, the family was awakened to a loud drumming and chanting at their home in Flagstaff. Weird. Who left the radio on? Dang it. Outside their home were three dark forms of men outside their fence. However, these shadowy creatures seemingly could not climb the fence and soon left. What kind of fence are we talking about? Are we talking like yay high, yay high, yay high? Or are we talking like Mexico border, like 30, 40 feet? I don't know. Whatever. It was in Arizona, but wrong place, Flagstaff. Hey, these events have occurred in the Four Corner area of the southwest Colorado, southeast Utah, northeast Arizona, and northwest New Mexico. It's just wild. Coming back to check on the chat real quick, guys. Notice Chuck's animal of choice on the farm is sheep. Hey, I'm just saying, sheep, I would be a good sheep herder, I think. I mean, I could be wrong. That's what I thought too, Cassie. That was my first initial thought. I was going to mention it, but I was waiting for one of y'all to take the initiative, which I appreciate. But just seeing what else is here. Oh, Susan, hi. Good to see you. Sorry, Dave's moderating the chat. I'm checking back every now and then, just kind of see where the chat's at. This sucks. Like, usually, Dave talks and I can moderate the chat, and then I talk and Dave moderates the chat. Like, it's just, it's tough. It's tough being a one-man army here, especially when you're trying to look at content. This is where I need like two monitors, right? One that has like my topic, one that has the stream. Like, it'd be perfect. Hey, Jess, glad you're here. Yeah, I'm lone wolfing it tonight on the video, but Dave's in the chat, so he's still there. All right. let's get back to the convo here. Oh, this is where it gets good. I guess we'll see. In the 1990s, a ranch in the northeast Utah, far away from the Navajo reservation, became the partial focus of the Skinwalkers, called the Sherman Ranch, the Skinwalker Ranch, and the UFO Ranch. This place has had a history of UFOs, aliens, cattle mutilations, and crop circles. Located near the Ute Indian Reservation, these people have long thought that the Navajo put a curse on their tribe in retribution for many perceived transgressions. Since then, the Skinwalkers have plagued the Ute people for millennia. Well, I mean, to be fair, Native American tribes, they slaughtered each other. They were not kind to each other. Like, they want to say that, oh, we did horrible things. Yeah, we did. Our ancestors did horrible things. Don't get me wrong. They were also killing each other well before we got here. Just saying. Did I say that? Witchcraft represents the antithesis of Navajo culture, values, and is not tolerated. Huh. So they changed it then? Is that what that sentence just said? They work to avoid, prevent, and cure it in their daily behaviors. However, when it exists, their laws have always said that when a person becomes a witch, they have forfeited their humanity and their right to exist. So they should be killed. Wow. So it's like, I'm sure after the purge, they were just like, look, if you turn to witchcraft, you are done. You forfeit your life, essentially. And however, skinwalkers are notoriously hard to kill, and attempts are usually unsuccessful. You don't say. Trying to kill one will often result in the witch seeking revenge. Unfortunate. Successful killing generally requires the assistance of a powerful shaman who knows spells and rituals that can turn the skinwalker's evil back upon itself. Another alternative is to shoot the creature with bullets dipped into white ash. Oh. Wonder if that's where the whole idea of like the silver bullet comes from, but it's white ash. However, the shot must hit the witch in the neck or the head. Gee, just like a zombie. Imagine that. Traditionally, the Navajo will not speak with outsiders about the creatures for fear of retribution by the skinwalkers. For that matter, it is taboo subject among the natives themselves. And that's the end of that article. So, generally, from what I've gathered with that article specifically, Navajo people, back in the day, it was very common to do witchcraft. Very common. And these secret societies, which I wonder if they were like, because they said the old men were the leaders of the group. So I wonder if it was like the eldest of the Navajo, and it eventually became a secret society thing because rules were changing, things were changing. That's wild. What? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. That's what I'm doing, Chuck. How are you? Go out and search. And yet the skin. Yeah, I know, right, dude? It's just like the demon thing. Like YouTubers go out and they look for skinwalkers. Exactly. Like it's literally just like the demon stuff. It's so dumb. If it was actually a skinwalker or a demon, you wouldn't be messing with it. Plain and simple. And I know Dave and I mentioned this in the last show, but I'll entertain the whole like, oh, I'd like to go to a reservation. I'd like to ask questions to Native Americans and stuff like that. I'm super fascinated with the Native American culture. On my mom's side, we actually have remnants of Blackfoot. It's so far along though that it's not in my DNA. Like it doesn't show up in my what's it called? The ancestry DNA stuff, genetic stuff. But I do know that family does have ties. It's very disrespectful, Jess. Very. Completely agree. So, that's a very good point. It's a secret because they don't want the part of the witch hunt. But beforehand, though, it wasn't. It was a secret because it was like an initiation thing. Because the witch hunt thing didn't happen until years after. Years after the Navajo were actually put on a reservation, and then they were allowed to go back to their They were forced out, and then they were put back, and then the purge of the Skinwalkers happened, which I do want to know more about that. That's very interesting. I'm surprised we never came across that earlier. Keeping quiet makes it easier to hide your deceit. That's so true, Kelly. Very true. And basically, that's kind of what I was getting to earlier, Jessica, where the whole respect thing. Like I said, I'm very fascinated with Native American culture. Ever since I was a little kid, I did a little report in like first grade talking about the Native American tribes that I am linked to. And then I also have family that's like Cherokee and all that kind of stuff from like marrying into the family. So that stuff is it's super fascinating to me. But Dave and I have talked about when it comes to anything Native American, when it like hauntings, burial grounds, artifacts, it's a no-go for me, bud. Like I'm even skeptical to the point where what is it? An arrowhead on the ground. I don't want to keep it personally, just because you don't know what energy could be tied to that. It's the same thing with antique shops. You don't know what energy is tied to things. You just don't. I mean, maybe not. They may find it. You never know. It could be like what we said earlier, where it's more of a trickster now than it being harmful. But I mean, it's still hearing the videos of people being like, "Help me!" from inside a cave, or like if you're out in a field somewhere and you just hear a random person yelling, "Help me!" Yeah, I'm gonna run in the opposite direction. That's one thing that I'm not gonna chase after. A ghost is a whole different story. But a random person yelling, "Help me," which I mean, that person could actually need some help and might have just let them die. So whoops. But whose life? My life or yours, bud? Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, God. But it's definitely a respect thing for me. I can't like Freemasons. I'm a level 33 mountain goat. At level 40, I can get the cougar ability. I thought you were gonna go like cougar hunting ability or something. That makes more sense for you, but it's fine. So what I want to talk about now is a little bit more of the basically like stories. I want to talk about more stories because I just feel like we never get enough stories. So these are relatively small stories as well, so shouldn't be talking your ear off too much. And these are compelling first-hand encounters from mythologyworldwide.com. So the story is entitled "A Rural Encounter at Dusk." Check the chat one more time. I've seen interviews of people still being attacked or affected by a skinwalker. I believe it. Honestly, who knows what exists out there. But I think most of the stuff nowadays is just meh. Just people talking, you know. Yeah, no. So, in a small rural town in New Mexico, a local resident named Maria shared her chilling encounter with a skinwalker. One evening, as she was returning home from a friend's house, she noticed the sun setting behind the mountains, casting long shadows across the road. The air was still, and an unsettling silence enveloped the landscape. As Maria walked, she suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of being watched. Glancing around, she spotted a figure crouched near a bush, its eyes reflecting the fading light. It appeared to be a coyote, but something about its demeanor felt off. The creature seemed to be staring directly at her, its gaze piercing and unnatural. Feeling a rush of fear, Maria quickened her pace, but the coyote began to follow her, moving silently and swiftly. As she reached her driveway, she turned to see the creature standing upright, its shape shifting into that of a tall man. Terrified, she rushed inside, locking the door behind her, and to this day, Maria recalls the encounter with a mix of fear and disbelief, hesitant to walk alone at dusk ever since. Story number 2. A family camping trip goes awry. Hold on. Yeah, I'm missing the campfire stories too, Kelly. I'm going to try to remember that. I'm going to go back and look at the chats. That's a good one, Jess. Thank you. Hopefully I can make you feel better, Kelly, with the whole campfire stories thing. Another first-hand account comes from a family who decided to go camping in the Navajo Nation during the summer. Initially excited about their trip, they set the camp near a serene lake. Surrounded by towering pines, as night fell, the atmosphere shifted. Strange noises echoed through the woods, and a feeling of unease settled over the group. Initially dismissing the sounds of wildlife, the family tried to enjoy their evening. However, the unease grew, and they began to hear what sounds like children laughing. I wish I had like an audio track of children laughing there. That would have been perfect. Despite the fact that they were alone in this vast wilderness, the laughter was eerie and echoed through the trees, sending shivers down the spine. Anyway, what? Then, in the dead of night, one of the family members spotted a figure at the edge of the campsite. It appeared to be a human form crouching low to the ground, but with an unsettling animal-like gait. I don't know. G-A-I-T. What is that? Yep. Panic set in as the figure moved closer, and the family quickly grabbed their belongings, decided to leave the campsite in a haste. The encounter left them shaken, and they spoke of it only in the hushed tones, forever wary of the dark woods that had once seemed inviting. It's an okay story. Not really spooky, but it's okay. So real quick, I do want to talk about, we'll get into more stories, but psychological impacts of Skinwalker encounters. Emotional effects, fear, anxiety, and paranoia can linger long after the encounter, affecting daily life and relationships. Gee, if you saw something paranormal and that doesn't make any sense, and it scared the bejesus out of you, kind of like trauma, wouldn't that leave you fearful, riddled with anxiety, and possible paranoia that you're going to see it again? Just saying. Mental effects. Individuals may struggle with disbelief or self-doubt, questioning their own perceptions of reality. I will say, years, even months after I have a paranormal encounter, I've definitely found myself like, did that actually happen? Did I really witness that? Like, my mind trying to trick itself, like I know I have the memory of it, right? I know that I remember seeing it. I know that I went through it and I could feel the emotions in real time. But am I sure it actually happened? Interesting, right? So fear and cultural indoctrination. The deeply rooted fears associated with skinwalkers can exacerbate. Gosh, I always mess up with that word. Dave was here, he'd be laughing his head off right now. I know he would be. Same, Charles. That's true. That is absolutely true, Kelly. So, they get the feelings of dread, okay? Leave me alone. Particularly with communities where these stories are part of the cultural narrative. So that's just normal stories, right? And that's why with my friend, where he, like, when I would just mention Skinwalker, he'd be like, oh my God, don't say the name. Ah! Like, dude, it's not scary to me, but okay. And then long-term consequences. Communities may develop a shared sense of fear or caution around certain areas, impacting social interactions and cultural practices. And you think sometimes, like, did the tribe in the beginning, like in the early days of the Skinwalkers, did they kind of like make up the story where, like, it's coming up because it's about to start, I think 10 days. Krampus, right? Krampus was basically made to scare little children and keep them in line and make sure that they don't fall out of line. Could this be the same thing, but for Native Americans? Or for the Navajo? Sorry, not all Native Americans. You just, like, be wary with whatever you see, or, are you sure that's what you're seeing? But, yeah, it just, I've personally never had an experience where I would think that, die with your skinwalker. That's exactly what I just saw. I've never had a feeling like that ever. So I do want to get into some more stories though, because I feel like the stories are bread and butter, but I do need to drink of water, so I apologize. All right. This one's called Yinaldushi. I hope I said that right again. Nialdushi is watching me. Oh, this is from cultnation.com. My grandmother on my mother's side has always been very superstitious. For lack of a better word, she is not religious, but she does believe in a lot of paranormal stuff. Her mother was full-blooded Navajo and her father was Irish. Either way, she'd never been anywhere east of Montana and she grew up in Nevada. One year, when I was in grade school, we went to visit her. Most of the visit was pretty uneventful. Typical, boring old people stuff. Except she always kept her curtains drawn shut and would always peek out the window, and when someone asked what she was doing, she would simply reply, Yinaldushi is watching me. Yinaldushi. Douche is watching me. The douche is watching me. I'm sorry. That's what it's Yenaldlooshi. It's Ye Naldushi. Ye Naldushi. I promise you, that's the article told me earlier. It like broke it down and separated. But as the story continues, this went on for nearly the entire visit until a few days before we were due to leave. My grandmother and my baby brother were in the front yard that evening planting flowers when all of a sudden my grandmother starts shouting, "Insert little brother's name here. Get away from that creature. It's not safe." Of course, being in Nevada, we all assumed that my brother had found a scorpion or a rattlesnake, so we all ran outside. And we had seen my grandmother clutching my little brother and shaking in terror against the side of the house. Standing out in the yard was a large black Great Dane-sized dog. It was staring at my grandmother with an intensity I'd never seen before. It looked up at us, gave us a little huff, bounded off. I don't remember if it moved unusually fast or not, but do remember it had really deep yellow eyes. When my mother asked my grandmother what had happened, she kept repeating, "The Yinaldushi has found me." She moved a couple of weeks after that. So this lady took it so serious that she had to move. Yeah. God and Santa aren't enough. Bring on Krampus. Dude. I mean, to be fair, Santa wasn't really a thing in their culture, I think. Or was it? Maybe it wasn't. I think you're right, Cassie. That's a good point. I believe them because of the visions they had during the ceremonies. Okay, that's fair. Oh, let's go back to the right page here. On the res alone at night. My uncle and cousin saw a large deer on the side of the road. When they got closer, it hopped over the fence like a bipedal man. One time driving back up from Gallup, my dad saw an old Navajo woman walking on the side of the road, and when he slowed to offer her, to offer her a ride, she took off into the plains, quickly with inhuman speed. Once when I was a kid, my family was at my aunt's house, which is in a rural, secluded area. When we were toyed with by a few entities, they would make animal noises, and when we looked at the direction from the noises they were coming in, like, I'm sorry. Let me restart that sentence. They would make animal noises, and then we looked to the direction from which the noises were coming. They would turn a flashlight on and off. The noises would come from all directions in increasingly shorter succession. Usually when I'm there on the reservation visiting, alone at night, I feel the presence of evil and dread, and panic and paranoia will wash over me, and as sudden as it comes, it will leave. God, that was a struggle. And I'm not tired. That's just I had to catch my breath. Breathe, boy, breathe. And I don't. That story just. Again, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not tired. I need to breathe. Yeah, laugh at me all you want. So that was a story. That's compelling, right? That's some good stuff. God. So next one. They ran away on their back legs. So this happened about 12 years ago. My family owns a farm in the heart of an Indian reservation. One winter, I was home for Christmas taking care of the farm while my parents were away Christmas shopping. As I was home by myself, way late in the night, I hear all cows freaking out. Why were your parents gone way late in the middle of the night? I bet they were doing more than Christmas shopping, if you know what I'm saying. Anyways, I knew it had to be wild dogs that are rampant in this area. So I throw on some boots, grab a shotgun, load it up, and head out to the field. This is a perfect scenario for a horror movie. Yeah, that's when you stay inside. If you know it. Anyway, it was cloudy. There was a full moon, and it was breaking through the clouds just as the right light. Oh, and it was snow on the ground. You know what the moon does when there's snow on the ground? Makes you can just see everything. I ran out to the middle of the field, and just in time, I saw two dogs. They were standing up facing each other and fighting. I think perfect 2-for-1 scenario, you know. So I pump a shell into the chamber of my Mr. 12 gauge, and then it happened. The two dogs heard the rack. They both stopped, looked over at me, and ran away on their back legs. Huh. That's weird. That's your is that your initial reaction to seeing a rack? That's horrible. Immediately I froze, and every ghost story about the Skinwalkers and all the other native legends I grew up with flew through my mind. Keep in mind, I'm a white guy, and up until then, they were all just boogeyman stories. Hey. The native kids like to tell to scare us. So that night, they became real to me. That was pretty good. I liked that. That was a fun one. False. Oh, sorry, you're not John. What? I guess I missed that part. Hey. Ceremonies okay, but the tribes warn people not to pick up the hitchhikers at night, or maybe skinwalkers. Yeah, I wouldn't pick up hitchhikers anyways like that. Nope, not in the middle of the night. No, sir. Hell no. No, thank you. This one sounds good. The Grove. This didn't happen to me, but a very close. This didn't happen to me, but a friend of mine. This happened to her or him. I don't know. I've heard a lot about the coyotes and skinwalkers, and had a very weird experience or two with coyotes. Creepiest was waking up to my sleeping bag being surrounded in paw prints without ever hearing them during the night. That would be kind of creepy, but never anything paranormal, so to speak. Patrick's story, however, kept me from going back to a favorite backcountry secret stash. He was leaving the area one morning and had been camping through a couple days, and said that there were coyotes that always seemed to be close by, like in his peripheral vision or, just out the side corner of his eye. He loaded up his truck and started to drive down the wash out to the fire road. At the end of the wash, he could see the coyotes following him. When he pulled into the road, it was running next to him. Now he was freaked out, so he sped up. He said he was going about 35 or so, and it was running along beside him. Definitely not possible. When he looked back, the coyote was running on two legs and wearing what Patrick said looked like a buckskin pants. That's an interesting description. An instant later, it was a person wearing a coyote fur keeping pace with the truck. When he looked again, it was gone. That's pretty weird. No thanks. All right. I'm going to read a couple more. Or I'm going to read one more. I'll probably call it for tonight. Whew. She's referring to John's campfire stories we did on Freak. Yeah, I remember. I remember the campfire stories, but I just don't remember the false. Oh, sorry, you're not John. No whistling at night. Well, I'm screwed. All right. It was neither fully human nor fully animal. In July 2004, near Gallup, New Mexico. Flagstaff, Arizona. Anyway, I had my first... Screw you, microphone. I had my first and only encounter with a skinwalker. Before this, I used to say, I believe it when I see it. Well, I'm a believer now. What I saw was not fully human nor fully animal. I was all right. You know what? We're gonna make this last story entertaining. I'm gonna read it in a country accent, kind of what I was just doing right now, kind of accent. We're gonna see what we come up with, see if it's funny or not. I was moving and had just completed the cleansing, and I was with my 10-year-old son. We had called it a night and were headed to our new place. As we walked out the front door, I saw a figure move from behind my neighbor's car to a nearby tree that stood between our apartments. It didn't have red glowing eyes, it didn't have red glowing eyes, snarling teeth, or rotten smell. It did move quickly, but not quick enough to avoid the light from a nearby light post and porch lights. It didn't look at me or come toward me. It moved as fast as if trying to avoid being seen. I was within 15 feet of it, but I did not look back to fully inspect it. What I saw was a wolf-like animal that sort of reminded me or resembled the Beast in the Beauty of the Beast, just not cartoonish. It had brown fur that completely covered it. It wasn't a pelt. It was a very large wolf. It didn't have any human traits except that it walked on its hind legs. It cowered behind the tree as we got into our vehicle. Then we got in. I asked my son, "Did you see that?" Thankfully, he hadn't. My brother-in-law insisted that it wasn't skinwalkers because I would have never seen it. To this day, I can picture what it looked like. Now they exist, and I pray I never encounter one again. That wasn't bad, was it? That's pretty good. You sure got a purty mouth. Wish you got a purty mouth. I could do it better. My voice isn't right now. Just would like statistics of people who encounter skinwalkers have some native heritage. That'd be kind of cool. That's a very, very good point. Very good point. Basically, yeah, if they're related, then it would be like a blood thing or a like it's in your blood kind of thing. Or it could be a I want to believe or I do believe, so I'm going to see it kind of thing. Kind of like with spirits, right? Like sometimes you think with skeptics, like the most like biggest skeptics, I feel like most places, if you don't want to see it, I don't think ghosts want to see you either. I don't think ghosts want you to see them. So they could just hide themselves. You never know what's going to fully happen. That was good. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. I like to bust out my country accent every now and then, which I don't know if I've ever done it on the podcast before. So it's a first for everything. Appreciate it. But the Valley Girl will make an appearance sometime, Jess. Just probably not tonight. I'm full of weird voices. It's just how it goes. They slip out every now and then. But I will say, so there. If you want to do more research, thanks for carrying the torch tonight, Charles. You did a great job. Aw, thanks, Kelly. Appreciate you. That means a lot. It really does. I didn't know how tonight was going to go. I didn't want it to be super boring, so I do appreciate you guys being here. Obviously, you guys being in the chat really helps. And for those that see the show later, after the live session, we do appreciate all of the views that you guys give us, all the thumbs up, all the comments. Even if they're bad, we still love them. Thank you. Appreciate it. And thank you, Susan. Appreciate it. So please keep joining us. Keep listening to the show. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you like the video. And if you feel like it, share it. Why not? Who knows? Get a little frisky. Dave also has a Patreon. You can find that, I believe, on our YouTube somewhere. If you want to see what he's up to, things that he's going through. And eventually we will actually have a vlog coming out here. It details our trip of it details our Ashmore trip a little bit. So I'm very excited for that. Next week, we are officially out of November, so we have to change up what we're going to talk about because November has been all Native American lore. So, leave a comment on any subjects you would like us to cover or would like us to talk about or banter or what have you. So, thanks guys for being here. We really appreciate it. See y'all next week.